So in the last segment, we spent some time talking about Mauricio Pochettino leading PSG. Let's spend some time talking about Manchester City and the man leading them, because Pep Guardiola, if we could just take a quick look at his managerial record, it really stands out. It's very impressive indeed. He is close, as you can see, by close to being able to take over there Lucescu and move into that second most trophies by a manager all time. Remember how young he is as well, by the way. He's only 50. He's only been managing 13 years. He's got a long way to go in the game yet, should he choose to, and already stacking up those trophies. Does recent form, though, all the same go against Manchester City? Do you think, are they off the boil a little bit?
They were outstanding at the weekend in the cup final. Spurs were really poor, I must say that as well. But yes, of late, they've had a few results and performances, but that were not maybe what you'd expect. But when you have that many games over a season of this long, it's very, very difficult to keep that consistency. And they have still kept consistency in terms of results. I think they've lost 3 games out of the last 30. It's a team who've scored over 100 goals. So this is a special team, and it's impossible to be at the top level so often. Certainly when you're changing the team so often as much as Pep does, to keep people fresh for these end of season games, which will decide whether this is a very good season or an out of this world season.
Peter Schmeichel wanted more Phil Foden talk, so why don't we check that box, Michael? He's become a really key player for Pep. It feels like it was only a few months ago that Pep Guardiola was telling us we all needed to have patience with Phil Foden, and now here he is in this position.
I said we didn't need patience. If you ever watch my punditry, I've been banging on him for the last 18 months, and Jamie can agree with that as well. I just think he's a special talent, not because what he does just with the ball, is off the ball as well. He always gets in these little pockets of space here, scored some very important goals, and he can play anywhere across the front. It's in there. He always managed to find, everyone's running to the ball, he drops off, and he's now becoming a key player and scoring important goals. I think when Kevin De Bruyne went off injured in the semi-final, when Foden came on, he changed the game, and Man City have been too reliant on Kevin De Bruyne's genius. Now they've got Foden, who now can take a little bit of the pressure off him. I'm not saying he's the same level as Kevin De Bruyne, but he offers something different. And if he keeps going the way he's going, I think he could go down as one of England's best and greatest ever players.
I think another interesting angle in the build-up to this game is the two keepers that we're seeing against each other this evening as well, isn't it? Let's take you out to our former keeper, Peter Schmeichel, who's over there in Paris. Talk to me first about the PSG keeper, about Keylor Navas, because we see him at this stage of the competition once again, Peter. Is he one of the world's best for you?
I don't think that we would consider Keylor Navas as being one of the best goalkeepers in the world now or ever. But what he is a big match player. I said that when we talked about goalkeepers a couple of weeks back. And just going back to what Jamie said in the last part about the luck you need, I think that, I'm saying that he's lucky, but he makes himself lucky. I think PSG is a little bit lucky, Lewandowski.
Every day.
Because he probably would have put one of the chances away. But we can see Keylor Navas in that game making some incredible saves. I'm just going to show you a couple of them. He seems to be always in the right place at the right time. It doesn't look too difficult, but it's what comes with experience, talent. Okay, here, it's a shot, and he saved that fantastically well. Again, here, being in the right place at the right time. And I think he was very much the difference between Bayern Munich winning that game or Bayern Munich going out. He made some incredible saves. And when they return to the other end, we will say that this is probably one of the best goalkeepers in the world, if not the best. But more often than not, we focus on how well he's doing with his feet, how great he is in taking part in playing with Manchester City. But this guy, and I'll show you that here, he's a very, very capable goalkeeper. He is making incredible saves as well, crucial saves at crucial times. And that would be needed tonight against Mbappe. We saw that against Bayern Munich, Mbappe and Neymar creating chances between them. Neuer playing really well. And Ederson today, needs to be on top form.
Peter, have PSG signed someone we're not aware of before the game? You just mentioned him.
Who?
Mbappe.
Oh, hey, said by the man with the Scouse accent that nobody understands.
Great comeback, Pete. Thank you very much. Good stuff. Oh, gosh.
Happy all night.
What a fixture we've got ahead tonight. If it's true that styles make fights, and there is definitely a main event on tap for Mauricio Pochettino's PSG. There's high-octane counter-attack. Pep Guardiola's City, of course, the personification of possession and power. Can either of the two sides land a knockout blow in Paris tonight? These two sides tonight, Micah, and feel like they really need anything less than a Champions League win is just traumatic.
They really need it with the amount of investment they have in the clubs. If you look at that, quarterfinals, I think you can see how much it means. Tuchel takes them to the Champions League final and gets sacked. It's not good enough. If you go on to Man City, I think it's not been good enough. If you look at semi-finals in 2015-16 under Pellegrini, and then they've been out to Spurs, Liverpool, and Lyon in the last 3 years. It's not good enough. And Pep Guardiola, it's the one he really wants. The Premier League had already been won by Mancini and Pellegrini, so the Champions League, just to take City that step further, is desperate to win it.
I mean, Micah mentions how much he wants it. You mentioned the fact that you feel like they almost deserve it. They've played such good football this season, Jamie.
They have. They've been outstanding. I mean, so many goals, and that's even without Aguero in the team as well. And David Silva's obviously moved on as well. Now we're going to look at some of these goals and some of the football they've played. And like a lot of these goals are without a striker. Gundogan getting a goal there from what we call the second 6-yard box, where a lot of goals are scored in the game. And it's going to be really interesting tonight, how they can maybe score goals. But this man will be imperative. Kevin De Bruyne, Mahrez, so many players chipping in with goals. Again, another clip with no strikers. So the players who are involved tonight, De Bruyne, Foden, there. So all these players we see scoring goals are involved tonight. So they'll have a huge part to play. But a late goal against Borussia Dortmund, this time Jesus is on the pitch, and that may happen if Man City do need a goal going late into the game. But again, that man who, along with 3 or 4 others, at times played a striker role and at times played the false 9 role, if you like, or out wide. There's so much interchanging and movement.
We're seeing Neymar warm up there, Roberto. He's a player that you think will be absolutely key to watch how he performs tonight.
More than Neymar, it's how you're going to stop him receiving the ball as soon as Manchester City loses possession. We know that Manchester City will be Manchester City, will control possession. It's that moment that you lose the ball, you need to stop Neymar. Because if you don't stop Neymar, you activate in Mbappe. You'll see here the clips. It happened against Bayern Munich, and Bayern could not stop that position. Look at where Neymar is. They just regain possession. Everyone is attracted to the ball. It's imperative that you can stop that forward pass from Neymar. The moment that Neymar can play forward, Mbappe is the best in the world in using that space and behind the back four. From here, a situation they didn't have danger, now you are in the final third. Again, if you get tied to Neymar, it's clever enough to suppress and then lay it off. Now will be Di Maria who's going to use the space in behind Mbappe. So as soon as you lose the ball, Man City needs to have a clear instruction how you will stop Neymar receiving the ball. And probably that's the area that Mbappe gets the biggest service. So in the game today, if Neymar can appear, PSG will have a massive say in the scoreline. If Manchester City can stop Neymar's supply, they will be well in favour.
Well, Kylian Mbappe, we hear you rave about him week in, week out. Mikey, you do the celebration. You say he's got everything. What specifically does he have?
He has got absolutely everything, and I just love him, every part of his game. We'll take you through the clips now. He's so unselfish the way he moves. You see him in this area here. He can face up anyone on the pitch. You see Pavard there, goes by him, unselfish. They don't score in this occasion here, but he gets into these positions a lot of the time. A lovely one-touch finish, beautiful technique that he has. And here, this is where I like him at his best. Up against Jerome Boateng here, you think he's going to wide, he goes near post. And celebration. It's just, I love everything about it. This was in 2017 against my beloved Man City. Look at the way, makes a run, just behind the defender, Otamendi, not good enough, and coolly slots it home. And this is the time when he actually burst onto the CK. He did the real burst.
He's the original.
He's the super original. And he's got everything. I can't see a weakness to his game. He's got absolutely everything, and that's why I love him.
Little bead of sweat just beginning to drip down Micah's forehead as he says all of that and praises Kylian Mbappe. We're almost there. It's almost time for kickoff in this game. If you love big stakes and even bigger stars, then you are in the right place with this one. Kylian Mbappe, Kevin De Bruyne, Neymar, Ilkay Gundogan, so many more we could name. That fabulous foursome come with potent supporting cast on both sides of the ball. We'll bring you kickoff next.
Now the stars can shine.
Oh, that is brilliant. Brilliant from Kevin De Bruyne.
I wish I could tell you every story has a happy ending. Truth is, most stories don't end at all. Now stand.
Be true. Stand.
What up? We doing on? Sci-fi stuff today?
Only thing missing is Boimler. He's got to be having the time of his life.
Redwood, I'm starting to think this jam session's got too many licks and not enough counts.
What does that even mean?
Then there were 4. Oh, yes! Unbelievable! UEFA team.
Fuck.
All right, welcome along to Paris, where we are taking you out live right now to Peter Schmeichel, who is there for us. PSG against Manchester City, first of their Champions League semi-final. Peter, I mean, it's lined up to be such an incredible game. Two of the most exciting attacking teams in Europe, both with occasionally fragile defenses. What kind of game are we in for tonight?
Yeah, I think we are going to see a very interesting game, end-to-end stuff. I know Manchester City are not playing with strikers or proper number 9s there on the bench, but we know how they play. They keep possession. They put a lot of pressure on. But I have to say, Manchester City, Chelsea, and most certainly Real Madrid didn't show this great competition. Much respect last week. They wanted to break free and do something else. PSG wasn't amongst them, and therefore I hope what we'll see tonight is the future winner of the Champions League in PSG.
Good stuff, Peter. Let's ask somebody who's hoping something different. Michael Richards.
Why would you want PSG to win it? Absolutely shambles that is.
Well, I tell you what, PSG have beaten Barcelona and Bayern so far this campaign. Is City even tougher than those two on paper?
Bayern without Lewandowski, yes. But I think City will win it tonight. Kevin
Give
De
us a
Bruyne.
score then. What do you think of the score tonight?
I think they go through. I think it's going to be a draw tonight. I'm going 1-1 again. 1-1 again. But I think City go through.
I'm going 2-1 PSG.
City by 2 goals.
All right, let's get you out then. It is time to go over to the Parc des Princes. Commentators for this game, PSG, Manchester City, our own Peter Drury and Jim Beglin. Enjoy the first half of this game. It should be a good one. We'll see you again at half time.
Okay, thank you, bonsoir. And so in Paris, la raison d'être for two of the hyper-modern, hyper-money, hyper-powers of the European game. A tie which is the very essence of their 21st century existence. This is the point of their power, the reason for their wealth. It is the Champions League that lights the fire in their bellies. Neither has ever won it. Both feel obliged to win it. One will play in the final, the other will not. Stellar lineups, starry ambitions, spine-tingling jeopardy. One of them must lose. Well, menacingly, PSG are somewhat stronger here than they were for the second leg of the quarter-final. Marquinhos returns for the first time since withdrawing injured immediately, having scored in the first leg in the Munich snow. Bacca is preferred at left-back, and both Italians, COVID-affected after the late March international break, Florenzi and Verratti are good to go again now. Kylian Mbappe's injury scare was mercifully nothing to worry about. So with Neymar in his company, we get to enjoy la crème de la crème parisienne. Having seen off Bayern in the last round, PSG engaged with another Bavarian here, German referee Felix Brick. His last 3 European tournaments have involved English clubs on their travels. Chelsea at Atletico Madrid, Manchester
Sunday
United, Milan, and just 3
renew,
weeks
Monday
ago,
pick up.
Real Madrid. City, like their hosts, are essentially as strong as they can be. For all his regular rotation, Pep does have a Champions League pattern. 7 of these have started at least 8 of the first 10 European games. Of the rest, John Stones was always likely, freshened by a domestic suspension. That leaves the selection of Cancelo over Zinchenko at left-back, plus Mahrez and De Bruyne in the creative department. Actually, it's the same 11 who started the quarter-final first leg against Dortmund. There are players who just catch your eye, and there are players on both sides. Mbappe, Neymar, and any number of would-be false number 9s in the Manchester City team. They are a blur of...
De Bruyne, one of those who will certainly threaten, will certainly scheme. Neymar born to occasions such as this. And a stadium that lacks only for its people. And footballers are people with ethics and morals and aims in life. And they remind us that there is no place for racism. And so, as Pep himself has instructed his players, enjoy. This is truly to be relished. Some of the planet's greatest players for the right to contest the continent's greatest prize. Let them at it. What do you think, Jim Neville?
Well, springtime in Paris, Peter, and it doesn't get much better than this. A feast of footballers, and hopefully a semi-final first leg feast of football. De Bruyne is actually playing as the false 9. Bernardo Silva, who has occupied that role, certainly in the home leg against Dortmund, is playing as part of a midfield 3.
Mbappe, Verratti, who missed the quarter-final. Neymar. Mbappe, engaged hurriedly by John Stones, who, as mentioned, should be entirely fresh for Manchester City, serving at what some might be perceived convenient time, a 3-match domestic ban after his selling off at Aston Villa last week. Interesting, Jim, that Pep Guardiola has gone with essentially the same side as came through in the quarter-final against very different opponents.
Yeah, but I think for Pep Guardiola, Peter, right at this moment in time, current form, that's about the best 11 he can get on the pitch. And I think he's gone about it the right way. And this whole false 9 business, it's never stopped Manchester City getting what they want out of games in the past. You know, they've coped particularly well without the likes of Aguero and Jesus on occasion.
And there are so many who have played the role, and indeed more than one might play it during the course of this game. Here's Foden, who's been learning to be amongst the goals this year. Gundogan has certainly played up top for them fruitfully over the course of this campaign, as well as Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne. It's rolled up here towards Neymar, who gets away the first shot of the game, but Ederson's behind it.
The pattern of the game in a nutshell, potentially, already. And Di Maria, excellent in terms of his hustling of Rodri and causing the Manchester City deepest midfielder to lose possession.
Neymar, of course, didn't play against Barcelona in the last 16. He didn't score against Bayern Munich in the quarter-final, so he doesn't have a Champions League knockout goal since March of last year.
Yeah, I've just been looking, Peter, as well about Verratti and his position as to whether he was going to be part of that attacking quartet for Saint-Germain or whether he was going to be attached to midfield. And it looks like he's probably going to do a little bit of both, but certainly he's occupying the left-sided role. And essentially it looks like Paris Saint-Germain sets up with a 4-4-2. And we know the names of the two up front.
PSG, whose form has been immaculate since the quarter-final. They've had 2 good wins in Ligue 1 and progressed to the semi-final of the Cup. There's De Bruyne dashing through. He's well met by Marquinhos, who is certainly welcomed warmly back into the PSG defence.
I've always said that about Marquinhos, how important the figure he is, simply because he doesn't get much wrong. And that was really well read on his part. Very needed too.
Verratti. Di Maria. Busquets. Galloped forward by Florenzi from right full back. His cross is too deep for Mbappe.
Yeah, well, maybe Phil Foden hadn't completed his homework, certainly on that one, because we know Florenzi, he can't resist a forward run. He will always make it, and Phil Foden has just become alert to that fact.
Florenzi, like Verratti, was caught up in COVID complications post the Italian international break at the end of March, which cost both of those two the quarter-final. He returns Florenzi at right full back in place of Colin Dagba, who deputised for him. It's a smashing little dance for Bernardo Silva. De Bruyne. Was kept from it by Bacca. Entry nagged at by Di Maria. And kept it from Paredes. So from the left side of City's back four. Gundogan. Bruyne.
Yeah, and the domination of the ball has already kicked in for the visitors. And now it's just a case of can they get people into the space behind that PSG defence.
Rodri. Gundogan. That's the angle he imagined for Mahrez. Might work out. Well, Pochettino, we know, has engaged plenty with Pep and with Manchester City in the recent past, not least that extraordinary quarter-final between Spurs and City in 2019. So filled with trauma and melodrama. Get an opinion from Raheem Sterling about VAR. Back end of that incredible tie. The mainly remarkable thing about PSG this year is that they might not win Ligue 1. 4 games to play, they're a point behind Lille, who did drop a couple of points Friday night last, but held to a draw by Montpellier, allowing PSG to get to within 1.
It's nice to see a competitive league in Europe somewhere. But I think, looking back at Pochettino, just then, against Barcelona, they kept a high line. Bayern Munich kept a high line. Manchester City like to keep a high line. And we've already seen a little glimpse of what we know PSG are extremely good at.
Rodri. Second target was Riyad Mahrez,
who's been quite brilliant this season too. I mean, a lot of attention has gone to De Bruyne, of course, and Foden, but Mahrez has been superb.
Lovely chat from Guardiola prior to the game. Reminiscences, nostalgia about his time under Johan Cruyff, who did, on the very biggest of occasions, used to tell him and his colleagues back in the day simply to go out and enjoy it. Full more weight of responsibility. It's an occasion to be relished. Florenzi. Mbappe's looking dangerous. Yes, it's a cute, clever touch.
Yeah, he and Stones will be switched on for that. They have to give themselves that extra second, so as Mbappe can catch them by surprise.
And looking here with the photo, some lovely images of him down in the tunnel area prior to the game, reuniting with Mauricio Pochettino. They coexisted very happily for 3 or 4 seasons at Tottenham before Walker left for City. And so, looking for De Bruyne. Rodri. Bernardo Silva. Morris. Trezeguet, containing role to play here, and he burst forward himself on occasion. Rodri stopped that then.
Well, he's never far away from a tackle, which we've just seen, and he's never far away from a yellow card either, game. But I thought he was superbly disciplined against Bayern Munich, and he knows he needs to carry that into opposition of this caliber.
Walker. Good fetch by Paredes, who's kept it determinedly before being felled himself. Sometimes ready for a scrap.
Yeah, I mean, he did well on 2 occasions to win it, and then I think he knew that Walker was coming. I think Guardiola's a little angry at the way he went down, and I think this is a case of being caught in an awkward spot. Hopefully, he'll be okay. Yeah, that was his first, and there was his second. That was borderline okay. And then Walker came along, and there was the contact.
Some regular ones. PSG's free kick, Marquinhos to take. Up towards Neymar. Good out shout from Edison. A keeper who's kept 6 clean sheets in 9 Champions League games this season. Conceded just 1 in the group stage to Luis Diaz of Porto. And then a couple 1 in each leg to Borussia Dortmund, Marco Reus and the Bellingham. Morris. Verratti. Neymar. For Di Maria. Super tackle for Diaz, who reassumes his position now. Di Maria. That's Walker. He's done very well to chisel out a corner.
So much for the right winger who likes to tuck in on his left foot, and then he's completely swapped to the other side, and he went deep to actually begin that whole move for the home side.
Had a big part to play in last year's semi-final against Leipzig. Di Maria got a goal and was a huge creative influence. Neymar with depth. It came to Mbappe. He was thumped by Florenzi into quite congested traffic. Comes back for Bacca. And now Neymar. Exchange with Verratti. Neymar! High. Via a deflection.
Yeah, good save too from the keeper. After the deflection, Edison had to be lively to deal with that. But this is superb slick play.
And they're hurriedly on with the corner. And Neymar's wriggling. He was challenging. Walker only partially clear. He's gone back as a piece of game.
All that developed as a result of Cancelo not getting his head to it on the far post from the corner. I felt he should.
Kembe. Marquinhos. Baka. To Diallo on the left. Back roll came on for Diallo in both legs of the quarter-final. The second half of the first leg against Bayern, the last half hour in the second. Paredes. Now Florenzi's on his way again. Has support from Mbappe. Di Maria. Is hit, got a deflection, and it's moved out of the range of Edison for another PSG corner. They've started the game well.
Yeah, I think it's quite sensible. Manchester City are willing to give a little bit in terms of where they pitch that defensive line.
Di Maria to deliver again. Edison will be trapped by the proximity of Mbappe. Paredes was making his way into that 6-yard area too. He's at the near post with Diaz over his shoulder. Cancelo also in close attendance. Inviting Di Maria by Marquinhos! Towering captain's header! And Paris Saint-Germain are on their way!
Well, it's not the first time he's delivered like that, Marquinhos, the PSG skipper. It's a beautifully timed run, and he just gets up before anyone else. I mean, Diaz is prevented from challenging by Paredes, who's got in his way, and it's allowed the Brazilian to come onto it, and boy, did he finish to the far corner. This is a little beauty.
Well, more or less the last offensive touch of a football Marquinhos had was to score against Bayern Munich in the first leg of the quarter-final. Moments after that, he had to come off injured. This is his return, and he has scored again very promptly. He scored the first goal of last year's semi-final against Leipzig, and he's broken through at the start of a key last-four clash again. And it's inescapably the case, and PSG have made the early running.
Well, let's see what that triggers now for the away side. As yet, Manchester City haven't registered anything on target. In fact, they haven't registered anything.
The Champions League goal of the season for the Brazilian skipper of PSG. He has scored in Manchester against United at Old Trafford. As mentioned, first leg quarter-final goal, and now first leg semi-final goal. Another Silva. Mahrez. Walker. Morena. Walker.
remembering back to the quarter-final, Peter, when Jude Bellingham scored in Dortmund in the second leg. City were heading out, but there was a calmness that followed it, and they just upped everything in terms of urgency and the purpose in their game. And it might be tougher against this opposition, but surely will be attempted again.
Florenzi. His first glance always forward. Di Maria, Idrissa Gueye, Marco Verratti. Lost off it by Mahrez. Well, back by Neymar, who's penalised and infuriated.
I can understand that. He didn't seem to be doing an awful lot wrong. And again, when you look at it that way, he has gone across Mahrez. But the ball in from Di Maria on the corner was excellent. The service. I always say, Peter, I mean, it's like 50-50 more often than not. Been in that situation many times. And if the delivery is timed to the run, as a defender, sometimes there's not an awful lot you can do about it. But if City were supposed to have blockers in that, then they didn't do enough of a job in preventing Marquinhos from gaining the ground he did.
Rodri. Mahrez face to face with Baka. Chance to tease. To send back for De Bruyne. Seems like Kimpembe. Rodri. Cancelo. Foden. Florenzi back. Gundogan. Cancelo, that's a good ball. Bernardo Silva did very well to apply anything from the tightest of angles, so he's got a corner out of it.
Yeah, and that's more like it. You know, it's something with that pierces the PSG defence. I think it was terrific by Bernardo Silva just to be able to get something on it, and he almost steered it in. Daklas had to deal with it.
Bernardo's with the corner. He goes for the header.
Yeah, he took the armband away from his central defensive partner, Kimpembe, and he looks as if he's the right person to wear it when he's done so far.
It's pretty much chat in terms of personnel. Potential injury was around Marquinhos and his availability or otherwise. To believe for quite a while it was touch and go, but he made it, and isn't he glad he made it? Mbappe. Verratti. Baka. Kembe. Done by Verratti. Confused himself, did he have it back? That's what De Bruyne can't progress. The fourth goal they've conceded in the Champions League this year. Neymar. The fact that they conceded on their travels plays into a different narrative as the referee blows for a foul on Rodri.
Yeah, he'd given it away earlier, Florenzi, and I think he was worried about a breakaway, and he was happy to commit the foul on Rodri, and it's right under Phoenix Rich's nose.
City have won their last 17 away games in a row. 17 consecutive away victories since a goalless draw at Old Trafford against their neighbours
and rivals Manchester United on the 12th of December. Jude Bellingham goal, we've already referred to a couple of times, was until tonight the only goal City have conceded away in Europe this year. After clean sheets in Marseille and Athens and Porto, and in which Gladbach fell on Neymar, who, after a Winston and Grimace, will quickly be up.
Yeah, I don't think the little bit of contact caused the fact that he had to jump in the air and swivel. But there we are.
Again. Di Maria. From Verratti. Di Maria with terrific vision. Stones importantly got ahead of Mbappe. Came back to Neymar, who lifted it into a path that might have been inviting for Verratti.
Yeah, I think Mbappe was more hopeful far post that it might find its way to him, but yeah, Verratti likes to make that dart. And Di Maria's left foot is having an influence.
I think the third Champions League semi-final that PSG have ever been involved in, and because last year was so peculiar, actually only the second time that this ground has hosted a game of this nature. Another two-legged tie in the semi-final PSG have been involved in was back in 1995 when they lost to the great Milan side of that era. Zvonimir Boban scored. Croatian in stoppage time of the first leg of that semi-final. Savicevic got both in Milan. And PSG missed out. And they actually lost the final that year in Vienna to a goal from teenage Patrick Kluivert. Ajax.
And if you just watch Marquinhos, particularly Kimpembe now and again, because there's no central presence from Manchester City, they can step up the pitch and they can actually pass the ball as midfielders.
Di Maria, Verratti. Space is with Florenzi, whose cross has been deflected behind for another PSG corner.
And you would imagine that would be the left foot of the Argentine once more.
They've been here before, not very long ago.
There you go. Gundogan, the likes of Silva have got to do the stopping. They've got to stop the runs that PSG will make.
That is disruptive. Here's Marquinhos poised again, edge of the 6-yard box. Verratti on the goalkeeper's toes. Di Maria's delivery. Anderson got a claw on it.
Well, he generates some width, doesn't he?
It's Mbappe. Company of Neymar. The Brazilian.
Yeah, I've heard the word push quite a few times. And it's understandable that Manchester City want to sort it out after the goal they conceded.
In by Neymar, and not so very far away as he trained for it from Paredes.
Yeah, he just held his spot, and as I say, sometimes when it just drops nicely for you, there's not a lot defenders can do about it. And probably just a a little annoyed with himself that he didn't get a more delicate touch. Oh, that was brave from Edison.
Brave all. Wait a minute. Florenzi, by Cancelo. Off the wide, Cancelo touching it.
We were saying earlier, Peter, that Manchester City looked as if they'd taken control of the ball, but they've done absolutely nothing with it. I just wonder whether they're kind of feeling a little hungover from that victory on Sunday.
Cup final victory. Manchester City do have the first trophy of the season in their collective pocket off the back of beating Tottenham Wembley in the final of the Carabao Cup. It is possible, the section says probable, certainly possible that they could be Premier League champions by the end of the upcoming weekend. They have to win, Manchester United have to lose. So that will be Premier League champions soon enough. And in the immediate term, they have a free kick here, a chance to impart some sort of pressure on the goal mouth of Keylor Navas.
Yeah, De Bruyne looks as if he's going to try and swing this in somewhere around the penalty spot, maybe just beyond.
Is over. Going to lift it in too close to Navas, who chose to punch. Relatively little pressure. Rodri. Picked off by Paredes. Mbappe. 2-3 step overs, and off he goes. He launches himself over the challenge of Cancelo. You will see a yellow card for that.
Yeah, and you can see it's fully accepted because he knew what he was doing. Stop Mbappe at source. You can't let him get into his stride.
Let's get up ahead of Steve. There's precious little stopping it.
Vavavoom.
Pembe. That's poor clearance from Navas. First there is Foden. Phil Foden for Manchester City. Mahrez in with Bernardo Silva. Across came Paredes. And Keylor Navas is off the hook.
Paredes has done extremely well to get his foot to that. And I think immediately, he was having a go at Bakker for not dealing with Mahrez in the header. But it was Navas who left it short to Florenzi. And as a result, Foden could just pick it out there. But yeah, I mean, Paredes has done extremely well to just take it off the head of Silva, if it ever got there, because Marquinhos was smothering him too.
Florenzi. Verratti, Bacca. Bit of space here for Neymar. Di Maria is over. Florenzi's beyond him. Alessandro Florenzi snatched away by Diaz. Di Maria and Foden makes the block. De Bruyne, he's penned in as well, and Gay is biting at him. PSG have it back. Swarming now. Marquinhos, Idrissa Gay. Rolled up for Verratti. Aimed in here for Kylian Mbappe, who just let it get away. Sent it back for Bacca. Stones is in the way of that, and Rodri thumps it to the security of halfway. And indeed, De Bruyne is still pursuing it. Keylor Navas had to be alert, come off limits and sweep up.
Paris Saint-Germain have got Manchester City where they want them at the moment. I'm just looking at it. This is a very mature display from the home side.
Di Maria, he skipped away from two of them. Angel Di Maria and Neymar let it escape him.
Yeah, that's a poor touch of Neymar, and we saw the chest from Mbappe just seconds before that. If he keeps it near his body, he gets something away. And Manchester City living very dangerously.
PSG, who so thrived in the Bavarian snow in the last round, are upping their game again to a lofty level in the driving Parisian rain this evening. As you say, yeah, but, of course, there's the incentive of a potential reunion with Thomas Tuchel in the final, which would be amusing given that it was he who saw them through the group stage and obviously took to last year's final as well. Good result for Chelsea last night.
Has Conte stopped running? Magnificent.
Florenzi asking Di Maria to chase, and Di Maria will chase. And Ederson has miscued. He's had to be very wary.
And couldn't he have just waited a little and just gathered that in his hands? That seemed a little panicky. And in keeping with Manchester City's unease here, they've had 3 touches in the PSG box so far. We weren't expecting that.
Florenzi's been terrific early in this game. Pace and breadth he gives them. It's a menacing dimension. Suggests marginally Manchester City, but that is a number that doesn't tell the real story.
Yeah, it was higher earlier in the half, and it's beginning to drop.
Verratti, Neymar, was 30, confident about PSG. Di Maria, sense of entitlement about having the ball. Mbappe, lovely return from Verratti. Next up for De Bruyne, he couldn't keep it. Paredes, Di Maria. Mahrez looks to escape. Diaz should. Gundogan. De Bruyne. Summer of the 2016 quarterfinal between these two.
Got a goal in each leg.
Yes, he did, had it away. Rodri, which took Manchester City to their only previous semi-final in the Champions League. Real Madrid.
Lamely too, in the end.
One goal in the tie and an especially pretty one. Fernando own goal De Bruyne, who can be very pretty. Back here without complication, away from in front of Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, if in doubt and all of that.
Well, City need something to bite on here. Without a natural target man, but with a couple of hefty centre-halves to throw into a set-piece situation. Stones is one such. De Bruyne plays it in, Navas comes and fists it. Neymar can turn out of trouble and set Di Maria on his way. Paredes.
Immediately, Verratti then just got his head up and he's just looking to see where's Neymar. Here he is now.
Neymar.
It's hurt again, seemingly. Cancelo's challenge this time was fair. Yeah, maybe an awkward fall.
The pain seems to be lasting a little longer. Might have some substance. It's a worry for this superstar's global following, and of course, immediately for his boss.
It's most definitely the way he hit the ground.
I think. Florenzi again, juggling beyond Diaz and setting it for Neymar, who's gone flying. And the referee has looked the other way. There can, of course, be a VAR check. Rocco Fritz will be engaged in that now. So City go on. Fly. Alice's goal wasn't threatened. I wonder whether Henderson's might have been.
It's great movement initially from Florenzi. Was it Florenzi that caused this? I think it was. I check it. Yeah, I think he's looking for it in the end as well, Neymar. I think he thinks, well, if I go down, I might just get lucky. But I think Florenzi played a part in that fall.
Not a foul, is it? No. Bernardo Silva, he set it for Phil Foden! Keylor Navas threw up a palm, and it was sufficient.
Well, that would certainly have changed the mood in the Manchester City dressing room when he found the net. I mean, it was very, very sloppy on PSG's part, and he's gone at the keeper. He's gone down the middle, and Phil Foden in his form just now, he's capable of better.
Foden's done practically nothing wrong for weeks and months now, and by the way, City have never lost a game when he's scored. He is their happiest mascot. 26 wins and a draw when Phil Foden has scored. Just 3 minutes for the first half. Largely bossed by PSG, whose only goal scored by Marquinhos, who puts himself in some pretty special company, actually. He's only the third man in the history of the Champions League to score in successive seasons in both the quarter-final and the semi-final. In that regard, he sits now alongside just Cristiano Ronaldo and Antoine Griezmann. He's supposed to be a centre-half. Mbappe. Marcelo kept his eye on the ball.
And he knows that every one of those has to be clean because he was yellow carded for that challenge on Mbappe a little early. Yeah, but I think they seem to have got it right defensively with the two banks of four, and they've condensed the space and they've made it difficult for Manchester City to move the ball about at the top end of the pitch. And likewise, in turnovers, they've been very sharp, and I think they've been more incisive in what they've done on the football.
Marquinhos, who's defended well, in addition to having scored the goal. Di Maria. Dancing and dancing. Habitually is.
Yeah, Bernardo Silva with the setup. And yeah, he'll be disappointed with himself for he tried to place it there. And I think Pep Guardiola, that reaction tells you a lot. There was a lot of space either side of the Costa Rican.
Let's say, Phil, you're better than that. Kevin Navas, who was in Real Madrid's goal against Manchester City. They were in the other semi-finals, which we just referred in 2016, and did keep 2 clean sheets in that tie.
You know, and typically all the planning Manchester City would have done with regard to Mbappe, Neymar, and the influence they can have on a game, the impact they can give, and they can see from the set piece. It's football for you.
We're on the turn. Towards first half stoppage time. Mbappe. Walker, who's glad to have assistance from Bernardo Silva, but he's given it back to Bacca.
He stopped scoring either. Mbappe in Liga.
Crazy form. The last 2 league games since the last round of the Champions League. Actually, the guy who can't get in the side at the moment, Icardi, has been banging them in as well domestically. They actually in the cup last week. Scoring in both of those league games as well. Second to the half. City create. Bernardo Silva, Rodri, Gundogan, Foden, Marcelo, put by Di Maria. Half time. PSG have been very, very good. City have had their chances, but PSG have had most of the ball. And via one delicious Angel Di Maria corner, Marquinhos nudged them into a lead that they almost certainly merit. It is a game which is every bit as absorbing as we anticipated it would be. And at the quarter-way point of the tie, the halfway point of this evening in Paris, it is PSG 1, Manchester City 0.
This match was brought to you.
1-0 at the halfway point against Manchester City. We're going to give the boys the opportunity to really break this one down for you. Let's take a look.
Well, it's very important, the strategy from PSG. They knew exactly what they were doing. We're going to see the setup from Manchester City, totally zonal. You're going to see Diaz and John Stones, and PSG, they put two players, not just to try to attack the ball, just to fix them. And that will allow the other players try to block the room. And you're not happy, Michael, with the block of Gundogan, the goal scorer, Michael.
I'm not happy with Gundogan at all. First, he's not tight enough, and then two, he doesn't get his arms in this position here. So if you run it on, you'll see here, slowly, he's looking around, he loses Marquinhos there, and by the time that it's too late. So what he should have done here in this position, if you make that run, first I should be tighter, and as soon as you make that run, come across and block. Just because you're zonal, it doesn't mean you stay in your zone. You still have to do a job of blocking the player trying to attack the ball.
Yeah, because he does it, obviously I make that run, I'm Marquinhos, and now the ball comes in, and that space that he runs in, as Roberto said, those players from Man City are blocked, and he's the only free man in the box. But listen, that is brilliant from PSG. It's not just Manchester City, it's fantastic work, and that is something from the training ground, no doubt. And swing delivery as well, yeah.
How's Big Nick's doing?
He's just weak.
I'm nervous, Kate.
Listen, we're going to go to a very quick break. PSG now with the lead, and Neymar's had just an outstanding first half. Can he do further damage now in the following 45 minutes? We'll bring you the thoughts of the guys ahead of this second half, which is coming up next. Michael Richards has refused to take part in this one, so we're joined by Jamie and Roberto. Take us through that goal.
Well, I think we mentioned that small details in these games are important. This is a set play of the Man City with a zonal marking, Jamie, and you could not believe that Marquinhos had a free room into that ball.
Marquinhos, the man for the big moments, only the third man in history to score in quarter-final and semi-final 2 years running. Wow.
Good stuff. You watching, Micah? That is our first half. Heineken unmissable moment. We're going to have more for the Champions League for you after this.
Stephen Colbert presents Tuning Out the News. We cover the news no one's talking about, like COVID-19. We just heard about it, and it's nuts. It's why everyone's inside.
Everything you all are describing is absolutely ridiculous.
Thank you. We answer the pressing question. Can Joe Biden prove that he is legally alive? And can Republicans tamp down the violent mob that makes up every member of their party? Now streaming only on Paramount Plus.
My great-great-uncle, Harold Evan, he went missing in 1934.
The Evan family are so sure that foul play was involved. Well, there you go.
It's one of these secret stories. It feels like he's covering up for something. They bury him under the road. What up? We doing sci-fi stuff today?
Only thing missing is Boimler. He's got to be having the time of his life.
Alert! I'm done to think this jam session's got too many licks and not enough comp. What does that even mean?
I'm gonna tell you who I am. Here I go.
This is not just another streaming app. This is beauty, grace, and
That girl has my face.
this is not giving up, not giving in, and
Now Mama Bogus, that's what you get.
this is running the show, running the game, and
Just go. We best on one.
this is BET on Paramount Plus.
Y'all ready to do this? Showtime.
Live sports, breaking news, and a mountain of entertainment. Now streaming.
I thought I would wake into a world in mourning, heavy clouds crowding, a society storming, but there's something different.
No, I can't. They are having, Man City are having a problem. I think they have a big problem in this game. There's no pace to their game. They're just literally passing the ball across the pitch. There's no penetration. I think they're suffering a little bit from playing with no strikers. As soon as PSG they have the ball, Phil Foden and Mahrez, they get pushed all the way back to the penalty box. So if they win the ball, there's nobody up there to pass the ball to. So I think Pep, unless he's happy losing this game 1-0, he could be, because it's not really about result. I think Pep needs to change not only personnel but also his system and play with strikers.
Let's see what the manager in the room thinks about that. Thank you very much, Peter. Roberto, your opinion, what needs to change?
No, I think that will not be happy with the execution of the plan. I think obviously we are talking about what they're trying to do. They're not quick, the movement is not good, they're not aggressive enough with the numbers forward, they are more concerned on what PSG would do. I think PSG have been much better. And sometimes it happens, you play against top teams. We will see Sterling coming on and making a difference and a different approach. But so far, I think Pep Guardiola will need to improve what they're trying to do rather than a radical change at halftime.
I'll tell you what, let's just very quickly take a look at the best chance that Manchester City had in that first half against PSG. Came from Phil Foden, Jamie.
It did, and I think it was a bit of a mix-up from PSG trying to play out on the edge of the box. They've done it really well more often than not. But it's a big chance, certainly for him, someone of the quality of him on that left foot there. But as Peter mentioned before the game, the goalkeeper doesn't kind of just hold his position, doesn't do anything silly, come rushing out of the goal. And I think they got it all on in the second half, Man City. I think a lot of the players looked terrified when Neymar received the ball. Neymar is the big problem for them, the outstanding player on the pitch.
Micah, get it off your chest.
No, Kevin De Bruyne needs to come deeper and needs to put Sterling on some Dortmund's in the hand. Like he said, everything sideways and it's a bit sloppy. They almost look in awe of the PSG players. These are top players, talking about Kevin De Bruyne being one of the best. Getting further back in the pitch and start dictating the play.
1-1 was the scoreline you predicted before the game kicked off. Are you still feeling good
I
about
still
that?
think that if they can nick an away goal here, go into the Etihad next week would be perfect result.
All right, let's get you back out to Paris then. The second half of this game about to kick off with the call. Here's Jim Beglin and Peter Drury.
Yes, of course, PSG's first guests this Champions League season were from Manchester. Manchester United came here and beat them 2-1 at the start of the group stage. Those who last longest, and Manchester United have long since disappeared into the Europa League and are still in it. PSG have their eyes on the biggest prize, and coincidentally, of course, Manchester City began their European travels this season, also in France. Actually, too, they went to Marseille and won comfortably 3-0. That victory at Marseille was City's first ever win in France, to go with their draw here back in the quarterfinal of 2016, a defeat at Monaco in 2017 in the last 16, and a draw in the group stage at Lyon in November of 2018. So French territory hasn't always been the best for them, and PSG, Jim Beglin, certainly had the better of them in the first 45 minutes.
Well, PSG got much more in the first half than Manchester City did, because they're playing it their way. They're at a level of control that they're happy with. So the onus is on Manchester City now. I think they probably need to score here, Peter. Bearing in mind that Paris Saint-Germain have gone to the Nou Camp and hit 4, gone to the Allianz Arena in Munich and hit 3. I'd be a little concerned. I think City need to register something in the second half.
So the implication being that it's likely PSG could probably get a goal as Manchester next week. And certainly the facts over a long period bear that out. Only Bayern twice, not just the other week and the other in the final last season, only Bayern have stopped them from scoring in their last 45 Champions League games. I think that 46 including tonight. My backer at the back of Mahrez. Alert in the second period for Kenan Navas with Mahrez and De Bruyne, and that's so often the case. Other side of the dead ball for City. Verratti is a one-man ball. Moving by De Bruyne, who's got most of that. Foden is creeping. So. Yes. Yeah, I think the fact that
PSG's midfield is so deep, practically on top of the back four at times. I think that's enabling them to double up against the likes of Mahrez and Foden.
Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne is coming back off the bell from behind. Moments in the first half when PSG's insistence on playing out from defensive third landed a bit potential peril, that Phil Foden chance. Here's Mbappe driving the other way. Look at stroke.
Really well done from Kyle Walker. De Bruyne had actually set Mbappe on his way. I just wonder how long Pep Guardiola will leave it before he might make that change, whether it be a Sterling or a Jesus. He needs to have that central focal point in his attack.
Bernardo Silva, Mahrez, De Bruyne, covering the one. Manchester City, the soon-to-be English champions, English League Cup winners. So, rushes the three prizes they chase. Lifting it in, there was a collision off the ball involving Cancelo. Alex Greg hasn't shown him too much sympathy. Knowing half smile from Pep Guardiola.
I don't know whether it's linked to the fact that Foden overhit it and Cancelo is trying to make as much of it as he can. He's just caught on the foot and it's looking some serious. Unsurprisingly, he's on his feet again. A little handshake with Di Maria.
Yes. Well, a little bit imprecise. It's not helping Riyad Mahrez get into the game and work up his special type of mischief.
No, if Manchester City are going to build the momentum they need to try and ruffle a few of the home feathers, then and it needs to be more accurate than that.
Verratti wants to throw for himself. Pep Guardiola gave it City's way as well, he might. Guardiola's 8th Champions League semi-final. Hasn't been to the final since he brought Barcelona to Wembley to beat Manchester United 10 years ago now.
Yeah, and you can see even Neymar and Mbappe are actually back helping out now. We didn't see an awful lot of that in the first half. So it's turning into a low block now for Paris Saint-Germain's second half. Manchester City are normally very good because they come up against this week in, week out in the Premier League. They're normally very good at getting through low blocks.
Gundogan for Cancelo. The tackle Di Maria, retrieved by Foden. Gundogan, Rodri. Stones. Gundogan, De Bruyne, up by Idrissa Gueye, Rodri, flew Di Maria and to terrific effect, and then De Bruyne caught him, and Paris Saint-Germain and a clearing free kick.
Yeah, he did well. I mean, he took a little blow then, and there's another little bit of contact then from De Bruyne, and of course, as soon as the free kick was awarded, then he stayed down.
Di Maria, who over 2 semi-finals with PSG this year and last, has scored 1 goal and assisted the other 3. Every goal PSG has scored at this stage of the competition. Also 2 seasons. 100 occasions. He assisted the first for Marquinhos. And by the way, it's also short that for 5 seasons running, there's been a Brazilian goal scorer in the Champions League semi-final. The last 2 preceded by Lucas Moura, Marcelo, Dani Alves.
More like it, this.
Here's Cancelo. Driving up Florenzi. Cancelo's hung it up. To the waiting arms of Keylor Navas. Out by Rodri.
I can understand his shock, because that's what it is for Rodri now, that this decision has gone against him. Neymar should say, well, you grabbed my shirt. I guess there was a little bit of that. And then he was grabbing too. Look, I don't think he just let that go. Get on with the game.
Of exasperation from Pep Guardiola. The season's first trophy on Sunday against the club, which Pochettino left behind. Slipped through his fingers also at Wembley the previous weekend. Against the club, he still might be to the Champions League final.
Go nowhere with this PSG. They're not creating problems for themselves.
Burton, De Bruyne, Rodri, got a challenge from Paredes, Cancelo, De Bruyne, and Marquinhos, by Di Maria. Just like City in the first half, PSG are finding it hard to escape in the early moments of the second.
Well, I think it's partially to do with the fact that Neymar and Mbappe are getting a lot deeper, so there's no output.
I love that sweet touch. Di Maria's gone instantly and long. Mbappe will turn and face up Stones. Kylian Mbappe away from Stones across the face and touch behind by Walker.
I'm a little surprised he didn't hit that earlier, but he could have hit it just before then. And by the time he did get past Stones, he's that's all he's got left. He has to just play it across and hope that Verratti can get there, and he couldn't quite.
Still on his feet as Diaz sat down. It was almost synchronised sitting through the City centre halves. So Marquinhos and Kimpembe are there. We've seen this thread before. Flicked on by Di Maria. So, reading by Florenzi. Morris. Back up, supported by Rodri. Gundogan. Rodri forced out by Paredes. Bernardo Silva. Looked like Gundogan let it roll. It slipped. couldn't force it past Neymar. Yes, did win it back though for Manchester City. And now here's De Bruyne. Foden. Gundogan. That by Farouk, and the referee's told him to get up.
Yeah, maybe it was the shout that did it as he went to ground.
Through with that nervous penalty at Dortmund. Lose again. Rodri. There's space for Cancelo. There's space for Long. Di Maria sorted that. And shimmy clear of Cancelo. Deliciously. And played it early from Mbappe. What a pass that so very nearly was. And what an excellent read by Edison.
Who would have been well instructed at the possibility of that opening up. But wonderful from Di Maria. And Cancelo has actually got into good positions 2 or 3 times now in this second half on that left-hand side, and he's not delivered each time.
Di Maria. Such a bright spark. Di Maria. Head always up. Neymar. Diaz. Foden. De Bruyne. Gundogan. Bernardo Silva robbed. And he just couldn't progress.
I think PSG have gotten sloppier in this second half, apart from Mbappe whizzing that one across the 6-yard box. They're not really constructing as much as we were watching in the first half. And it's almost an invitation for Manchester City now to come on, step it up. Can you find the impetus in your play, the precision?
So it's Morris. It's clearance only came to Morris. De Bruyne. Rodri. Foden. Rodri. Silva. Mahrez. Walker's ready to make an overlap. Rodri. Mahrez. By Kimpembe. De Bruyne! Once in a lifetime.
It's an encouragement. It's if you like, a start for Manchester City, and this is always a difficult skill. And just making sure you get over the ball, and so often it connects with the shin as opposed to the foot, and that causes it to drift that bit higher.
Some of Jason's runs, and Zinchenko has replaced him at left full back for Manchester City. Which is where he started the second leg of the quarterfinal in Dortmund. The only point of difference from the first leg, and indeed from tonight's starting lineup.
Yeah, the difference now for Zinchenko, obviously being a left footer, that if he can get in those positions, then I think Pep Guardiola is hoping that he can get good crosses into the box quicker, doesn't have to delay.
So let's take away the jeopardy of Joao Cancelo's yellow card as well. Of the first leg, the Champions League semi-final between Chelsea and Real Madrid. Tonight's game. It's very much between these two now.
Yeah. And that's the point I was making just a short time ago. Manchester City with little press and Paris Saint-Germain are not nearly as accurate as they were, as controlled, as measured.
In previous meetings, PSG have never beaten Manchester City. It's the last half hour here, and they have the ball with Di Maria. Some challenge for Foden.
He's giving away again. Zinchenko did that, then actually won it back for the side, and now he's on the same thing once more.
Zinchenko, De Bruyne. De Bruyne has found Bernardo Silva. De Bruyne has kept moving, and Mahrez has emerged on the right-hand side, and Walker's gone with him. Smashing run from Kyle Walker, and snatched behind by Marquinhos.
I was expecting De Bruyne to move into that front post space, but the run, the sprint from Walker was superb, and the timing of the ball to get him in was exact. And that's exactly what Manchester City need more of. And I thought De Bruyne would see that run and get there.
Celebrated his clearance. Parallel pass. Implied to a freak of such extreme value. Deliberate or otherwise, he plotted a path that just might help take City to the final.
Well, I think there's no doubting the fact that even though we know this guy has technical brilliance, he's a technical genius. This is a cross. He's trying to float that into the far post to try and get it on the head of Stones, who's arriving late, or Diaz, who was tucked in centrally. And I think he thinks Navas that it's going to be dealt with. Somebody is going to get something on it before I have to deal with it. And by the time he gets to deal with it, it's too late, because it's found its way curling into the back of the net, far post, and oh, what a big moment.
Kevin De Bruyne, 3 games against PSG in a Manchester City shirt, 3 goals. Home and away in the quarter-final of 2016, and now away, critically away, in the semi-final of 2021.
Roberto Martinez would have us believing he meant that. Probably right now.
Well, I think he's playing for Roberto in the summer. He'll be playing that ball with maybe Romelu Lukaku in mind. And we'll be very happy if Romelu Lukaku doesn't make contact and it ends up in the corner of the net. De Bruyne.
Now for another.
A mood of the game had been beginning to tip that way.
Yeah, I think we commented on the fact that PSG have lost their way second half. And they've basically surrendered the initiative to Manchester City. And look on the goal or not, they need to get their house in order again, the home side. Because there's no constructive threat from them. It's too weak.
City were offered the chance to sign for this now and take it back to their place. They surely would. It's PSG who have to try and force something.
Michael Richards will be saying, "I told you so." He went for the 1-1, did he not?
Well, and he's entitled to tell us that. Zinchenko. Gundogan. Sliding pirouette.
Swung the ball in for De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne now 5 goals and 5 assists in his last 9 Champions League games. 10 goals in 9. Big game player.
You have the least touches on the pitch for the first hour of the game.
You tell me.
That's a Manchester City success in itself. And, you know, City weren't prolific in their chance creation tonight, Peter, but third effort on target. An unfortunate one. And it went in.
Foden, Gundogan, Walker.
I think Pochettino must be considering now changing it, livening it up. He needs to have a look at his bench and think, well, what can I do here?
On his bench. De Bruyne. Sarabia, Moise Keane.
You mentioned the card bang goes in.
Free kick for Foden, back centre. In position of promise. The card is out. Paredes is trying to walk away from the scene of the crime. Felix Brick has his number, however.
There is a shortish fuse there as well with Paredes. He's feisty by nature. And he can be wound up.
Well, there's a few in City Light Blue who will fancy this. He'll keep the ball away, that's why he got the yellow card. But Keylor Navas will be aware of the threat clearly of De Bruyne, of Mahrez, of Gundogan, of Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, Idrissa Gueye will be most worried here because he was the one that conceded the free kick and was clumsy in his part. Before Paredes booted him at the pitch.
Bang centre. Probably the ideal distance. Enough latitude to get it up and down. And some of the best in the business behind the ball. By the committee. De Bruyne is the chairman of the committee. Seems intent on sending the others on their way.
Where the City wall to 3 of the big men.
Presumably shortly part. It's Morris! That's a beauty! He has fizzed into Manchester City, who have come from behind and lead beneath the Eiffel Tower.
Well, Mahrez in Dortmund from the penalty spot. Mahrez in Paris from just outside the box. And the wall splits. It goes through the two on the end of the wall. And that's why you saw Navas react furiously. There you go. There's the gap between Paredes and Kimpembe. And, well, if you do that, you're asking for it. And PSG have been asking for it since they've returned to the pitch second half. Manchester City have been allowed to take control, and boy, have they.
Riyad Mahrez, the Algerian born in the Parisian suburbs, has come to his native city and scored one of the goals of his dreams. And indeed, the dreams of Pep Guardiola, a decade without a Champions League final, and now in pole position.
Yeah, and now for Paris Saint-Germain, who has the courage to want the ball? Who'll show for it?
And if it stayed this way, PSG, who we know are full of goals, would be obliged to score at least twice in Manchester. Baka. Mbappe. Whilst there's Mbappe, whilst there's Neymar, the tie is never dead.
Di Maria, Neymar, beautifully collected. Juggled into the instep of Diaz. De Bruyne.
I think first half, a few of those went against Manchester City. I think the referee is right to reward that one.
You can see as Neymar goes a little bit naughtily at the back of Ruben Diaz. He picks himself up a yellow card.
I hope it doesn't take a downturn now in terms of silly yellow cards being dished out for fun. Hopefully the game will retain some discipline, but yeah, this is second half frustration. And Paris Saint-Germain summed up like that.
So it'll be interesting to see how City deal with this position of unforeseen near utopia. Will there be a temptation just to sit on this for the last quarter of an hour, Jim, or does City keep playing City's football?
Well, I think City have sniffed the fact that PSG seem to have lost the plot in the second half. They don't seem to know what they're doing, and I think Manchester City might fancy a third.
Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, away from Idrissa Gueye, away from Kimpembe, supported by Mahrez, through mid towards Foden. That's a very good header.
I think they do fancy a third.
What a clever little flick through front of the near post from Phil Foden. And for PSG, are they obliged to seek parity tonight? They need a goal.
I think it will help before they go to the Etihad next week, big time. But you know they've got to straighten themselves out because they say they just look again. We've seen so much of that and just giving the ball away needlessly in this second half, and they don't look like the same unit we watched in the first. This is chalk and cheese.
Checo. De Bruyne started to turn around. He played second fiddle to Mahrez. Seconds by City stole the lead.
I remind you, Peter, that Paris Saint-Germain have lost 7 times in this stadium this season.
And Silva. This would be, in all, their 12th defeat of the season. PSG just don't lose a dozen games in the season. That's a foul by Idrissa Gueye. I'm surprised that we didn't see another booking here. There's been no evidence of the yellow card just yet. Seems disinclined to produce it.
Yeah, but City are upset with this because Gueye is actually just trying to lift them back up again, and City are trying to point out to the referee that the fact that there was a little more left in that of Gundogan, and he is going to be a yellow card.
He's been sent off. Idrissa Gueye flew in, studs were evident, force was evident, recklessness was the interpretation of the German referee, and it is back to worse for PSG. A goal down and now a man down, and when you see that, the referee had no option. That is a horrible one.
Agreed. Nowhere to hide. And I think the referee, in not flashing the card very quickly, was just waiting for the check to be completed. And he was obviously informed by other officials, VAR officials, that it had to be red.
And no wonder Ilkay Gundogan grimaces. That is bound to be painful. It's a terrible tackle. Idrissa Gueye is correctly sent on his way.
Yeah, and probably by Marco Fritz, who is the VAR official tonight, and he would have relayed that information to Felix Brig. Good teamwork. And now Manchester City could just keep the ball until the end and possibly go for that third.
Put a 12-minute power play here against 10 men. Well, there's no escaping that.
And I mean, we said it, didn't we, in the first half, that he's never far away from a tackle nor a card. And, I think he probably knew what was coming, and Neymar is devastated by it.
Fernandinho waiting to come on for Manchester City during this hiatus. Obviously, PSG are feeling the need to reinforce in midfield in the absence now of Idrissa Gueye, and Danilo is coming into the piece. It might be that they have to sacrifice one of the fancy flair players up top in order to accommodate him and keep the scoreline within second leg reachability. It is Di Maria, who's perhaps been the best of the front three, actually, who gives way now.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think he's been very good for his side tonight. Gave it all going forward and defensively. Yeah, it's like a 4-3-2 or a 4-3-1-1, if you like, now with Neymar and Mbappe.
Mahrez, Rodri. Another Silva wriggling. De Bruyne. Won't catch that up.
It's a lovely little clip again by the Belgian. If Zinchenko had risked it.
Danilo. Catch that up. He needs to be wary. Remember, it's only a couple of weeks since in the Premier League they conceded a very late goal to a 10-man Leeds team.
But not every team has a Stuart Dykes. He can run that boy.
Still not certainly getting the PSG first 11.
I think he might have himself. Bielsa is ever in charge.
Bernardo Silva. Red Mahrez driving it back up. Kimpembe. Here comes Danilo. And into Bernardo Silva. Zinchenko. De Bruyne. Gundogan. Bernardo Silva. Mahrez. Rodri. Waits for Mbappe. And Rodri just kept on driving. And Florenzi asked us to come and collect.
Well, Rodri has a right to ask the question of why nobody else made a move into the 6-yard box, because as he gained more ground, it looked like the possibility was opening up second by second. But who would have thought on Manchester City's first half performance that they're now in a position here with what? 8 minutes to go plus out of time of turning the screw. And likewise for Paris Saint-Germain to be really comfortable first half and just be disheveled second.
Paredes, who, as you were indicating, Jim, Paredes, who was on the point of blowing his fuse, has perhaps sensibly been replaced by Pochettino and Herrera. Former Manchester United player, of course, is on in his stead to face City.
Well, if I could offer a little hope to the home side, then Herrera and Mbappe have been linking up very well in recent games. Herrera has been sending Mbappe through for a couple of goals with beautifully weighted, long-range passes. But it's a big ask now.
Right. Chenko, De Bruyne. Flicked out to Mahrez. It's away from Neymar. It's blocked back up and then ties himself up in knots. Bruyne. Another Silva. Bruyne. Spot for Rodri, taken up by Mahrez. Looking to pin one into the bottom corner.
Yeah, and I think on that occasion, I think Navas is probably in a position to deal with it. Yeah, he can cover that front post. You just wonder as well with Mahrez, Peter, after De Bruyne got fortunate with his goal, whether Mahrez had actually taken not the best free kick, but it just found its way through a bad wall. The wall split, and he got a little lucky, fortuitous himself.
Mahrez. Rodri. Zinchenko. Gundogan. Oh, Baka and his goalkeeper failed to communicate. So perhaps at the last moment, each pulled out and got away with it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really awkward one to try and deal with. And I think it's just as well he got nothing on that, because considering Navas' position, if he had made contact, he could have gone no G to his name. Yellow for De Bruyne. The PSG are making a big deal of this.
The referee wants the moment to himself. He wants to be the sole arbiter, and he wants a moment alone with Kevin De Bruyne, to whom he is now going to show the yellow card.
The ugly side of professionals, trying to get somebody sent off. That's what PSG are doing. They're trying to balance the numbers. Does it compare? It's on his foot. It's nothing like as dangerous as the Trezeguet moment. Well done, referee, because he could have succumbed to the pressure he was under then. Felix Brooks stood firm. I think Mbappe has been told by his teammates to shut up, because some of the sent overs got him in trouble.
Foden busy, rolling off Danilo, going past Llorente and hitting the gloves of Keylor Navas.
Yeah, that's the second time he's done that tonight. That's such a shame, because that's Phil Foden, and that's how good he's getting. Great balance and control when he was under enormous pressure.
Neymar. Surrounded by Gundogan. He's getting more than fractious. Neymar. Just one flash from him and things can feel different.
There is Clay. And he was waiting for the challenge, Neymar, to go down in the hope of getting a free kick.
Marquinhos.
A free kick that could have been turned into a shot at goal.
Herrera's got a free kick. Verratti's over it. Neymar's coming to conspire with him. 89th minute of 90. PSG thirsty for something here. Neymar's free kick. Rodri's header out. Back in by Herrera, Marquinhos. With a little nudge, Danilo can keep it alive. And seek to win a corner. No such luck.
Ricochet. It's gone Bernardo Silva's way.
Well, truly a game is a contrasting halves. Ball. So take that goal kick again. This seems so improbable at half time, Jim.
Totally. It's flipped. The game is completely flipped from first half to second. But I just, well done to Manchester City, because I mentioned about the fact that they don't panic, they retain a composure, and they stick to what they know. But I can't understand what happened to PSG. They looked as if they're fatigued. They got lost on their own patch second half.
Mahrez. Just for this time. Dzeko. 4 minutes of it. Gundogan. Rodri. Mahrez. Rodri. He's calm. From Diaz, the other one is flawed again. Still 4 pound of the even on the turf.
Yeah, just to give you an idea of the conversation I played in the second half, I'm not sure. The first half, they had 9 efforts forward, which were outside. So that's a significant drop.
Is that down to City? Do you think PSG were just tempted to see what they had?
Well, it seemed to be the way, because I referred to the fact that a little drop and kicked in, and the fact that even Mbappe and them were deep and helped it in.
Neymar's free kick, Stones header out. Walker starting up towards halfway. Verratti is last man back for PSG. Needs to be careful. He sets off this second leg.
He took the free kick for Verratti and then his boots.
Such is PSG's urgency. Neymar. Back up. Before you like Keegan's getting too far carried away, this is PSG. This is in no sense the opera.
This is the opera. Because remember, they'll be compelled second leg, because you said, Peter, they have to go for 2 goals. So
here's Neymar. Behind Mbappe. Split to it by Zinchenko, gathered in by De Bruyne. Foden. Now Rodri. Find De Bruyne.
and the PSG that's going to visit East Manchester next week. has to stand up and be counted for 90 plus minutes. No, 45 tonight. And there's that Herrera attempt to get him back there.
He's also getting it past. And the referee, so nothing on to do with the challenge. City are nearly there, or at least nearly halfway there. Zinchenko. Good away. Right, Silva. Morris. Rodri. Foden. So tackle back in Pembe. It's come back here to Kevin De Bruyne, who's missed his shot just a shade high.
There he just got a little touch on this, which helped it to go high. Perhaps it was even Marquinhos.
Well, this will be the last play of the game. Since he may or may not choose to be ambitious with it. Another Silva for Foden. And through for De Bruyne, who's on his heels. And that will do for now. It'll more than do for Manchester City.
Okay. Okay. Okay.